Okay, this is Spencer Colgan coming to you live from the job site, and I just wanted to just give a few words on wall prep before hanging the wallpaper. So we are in a home that has texture on the walls, which is very common for the state of Florida. If you look closely, perhaps you can see it. Okay, there you can. So you see that texture. Now I have a couple of videos, but one in particular about hanging wallpaper over this type of texture. And it's not ideal, okay? But a lot of people don't want to incur the expense of getting rid of this texture in order to hang the beautiful wallpaper of their choice. And so they compromise with the um, with the bumpiness under the wallpaper. But I let them know I cannot guarantee that your seams will meet up perfectly over these bumps, nooks, and crannies. Why is that? The thicker the wallpaper, the more difficulty the wallpaper hanger has with meeting up seams over this type of bumpiness. The thinner the wallpaper, if you think about it, well, then it's a lot easier because the wallpaper is so thin that it negotiates very nicely around these bumps, nooks, and crannies. And so the adjoining wallpaper, the sister paper up against your first sheet, lines up simply by pressing the wallpaper down. But a lot of wallpaper isn't that thin. And so the thicker the wallpaper, the more problematic will be in making it look beautiful. And what happens with people, since they don't know wallpaper, they say, ah, the wallpaper hanger wasn't that good. You can see the seams. Well, it all starts on wall prep and how your wall is before you hang your wallpaper. So I always bring, this is what I do. If you're a wallpaper hanger, consider doing this to demonstrate to your customers uh, the wallpaper look the wallpaper will take on if you hang your wallpaper over texture. So I carry aluminum foil with me, or if I don't have it, I ask them to give me a sheet of wallpaper. I'm sorry, a sheet of aluminum foil. And what I do is I just take about 2 feet of wallpaper. I'm sorry, 2 feet of aluminum foil, and simulate the wallpaper. I push it into the nooks and crannies on the wall, and after that, the aluminum foil takes on the profile of the wall. And so I say, here's your wallpaper. Here's how it's going to look. I leave it on the wall. I say, this is how it's going to look on your wall without all the shininess. And then I take it off and I show them all of the bumps that will be on their wallpaper if they should hang the paper over this. 8 out of 10 say, get rid of the texture. 20% say, I'll live with it. But that makes an impression on the customer when they see aluminum foil taking on all those bumps, nooks, and crannies. And then you say, do you want me to hang the wallpaper like this? And most say, no way. Get rid of the thing. I'm glad you did that. That's such a neat trick. Okay, so what I wanted to do this video was to show you specifically what happens when you prep the wall. So I did two skim coats on this with a 14-inch boat trowel. A boat trowel is a trowel with rounded edges, and it leaves no track marks. The track marks that are common when you use what's called a taping knife. Some people call it a spatula. All right, you got to use at least 10 inches if you want to move quickly enough. But I use a 14-inch boat trowel. It works for me. It does a very good job. But what happens is, since it's not magnesium, it leaves some marks from the metal on the wall. It leaves some rust marks. Now, learning from mistakes, my mistakes in the past, I realized that I have to get rid of those marks before I hang especially white wallpaper. So let me show you what I'm hanging today. This is a very fine wallpaper. And although it's not opaque, okay, I'm sorry, it is opaque. It is not see-through. The white on this wallpaper is obviously without pigment. If you should hang this wallpaper over a dark spot, don't let it happen to you as it has happened to me in the past. You see this mark here? I've already covered that with primer. But I'm not hanging this paper until that mark is gone. And what am I doing it with? You can do it with flat white paint, but I decided to use Kills, and this is it's an oil base. It dries very quickly, and it's bright white. And so I'm just going to go over it because I hung a white wallpaper once over a mark, and I saw it. I saw the mark. I knew what it was. So I was obligated to change the sheet out, okay? Look, you learn a lot of these things from mistakes that you make, okay? And so I don't want you to make that mistake, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. And so you just go over these marks, okay? Let me share something else with you. If you are a good plasterer, if you're not, you will become one. If you really want to make your customers happy, don't sand the wall down. If you have to do 3 coats to make it nice and flat, do 3 coats. But after you do the 3 coats, take a nice wet white rag. Don't use a colored rag because the color in the rag will come out on the plaster. The plaster will actually suck the color out. It will bruise the plaster with the color, and then you got to paint it white. So this is called wet sanding. I'm sure many of you are in the trades. If you're watching this channel, you're familiar with wet sanding. All you're doing is eroding any imperfections. Okay, if you're a good plasterer, if you're a 7 out of 10 or better, you know what I'm talking about. You just wipe it down, get all the little clinkers off of your wall. You'll feel them as you're doing it. And the wetness on the rag will simply erode any abnormalities in it and just make it into, it will pulverize it and make it into it will make it go live again, as they say. And then you can, after doing this, after wetting the top layer of this, you can then take a trowel and drag it because the top layer, the top skin on the plaster is alive again. And you can spread it as if you were spreading live plaster. And then it dries immediately. Within like 3 minutes, it's hard as a rock again. And there you have it. So I wanted to cover, if you stain your walls accidentally, just spot prime it with a white paint, doesn't matter. And then what I'm going to do now is use Romans 999. It's RX35. It seals this plaster. This is extremely porous. If we were to hang wallpaper over this, in 5 years when the customer wanted to take it down, they will never forget you because the wallpaper won't come off. It becomes part of the plaster, and they literally have to dig, scrape, and scratch it off. And then your name is ruined. What do? We seal these pores, and we simply put the primer over this thing and give it a new skin. And then we create a barrier between the wallpaper and the wall with the primer. And that's called RX35. I have it right here. Let me just show it to you. If you're a paper hanger, you should get this in the 5-gallon drum, like I have here. And you don't have to use that one. You could use others, but that's the one I choose to use. And it's the one most prevalent in all of the wallpaper stores. And it's fairly inexpensive. You can get that. I've seen it in Home Depots for about $18 a gallon. Sherwin-Williams charges the most I've ever seen at $22 per gallon. But if you buy it in the 5-gallon, you get obviously a discount. Okay, there you have it. So this wall, just check out the plaster job. I'm going to try to show you how nice this plaster job is. I'll go this way so the sunlight is enhancing what you're looking at. And this wall is nice and flat, and it's ready to receive paper. And what it used to be was this. This is what it was. And that's only with 2 coats. So there you have it. This is Spencer Colgan from Spencer Colgan is Wallpaper. You can reach us on the web at www.spencercolgan.com. Please click on like to this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Many of you have sent me emails, nice emails about the videos. I really appreciate it. Do me a favor. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so that you get all my subsequent videos. Thanks for watching Spencer Colgan is Wallpaper. Let us know how you do your wallpaper jobs. Let us know how you prep your walls. A lot of people from the UK, from Europe, other countries. I'm getting emails from Iran, and it's amazing how universal the applications are when you're installing wallpaper. How people do it all around the world is pretty universal, and it's amazing to hear how other people do it. So please share your story with me.